Joining me now is former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, distinguished fellow at the Hudson Institute, Fox News contributor. Mr. Secretary, great to see you. I want to jump right in. Democrats are so worried, are they not, about protecting democracies around the world? You know, we all are. But when it comes to what's happening here in the United States, apparently the government will just use every bit of power at its disposal to target one man who is a likely 2024 presidential candidate. What are your thoughts on what you're hearing tonight?
Laura, you got it exactly right. There's no rules, right? This is just about power. And they asked us to give them the benefit of the doubt. They're talking about democracy and equal justice under the law, but we've seen it, right? We saw my predecessor at CIA, Jim Brennan, politicized, weaponized the CIA. We saw Jim Comey, who was my counterpart at FBI when I was the CIA director at the beginning of my time. We saw him take notes, leak them to the press. We've watched the Justice Department under Merrick Garland go after parents as terrorists who are just trying to make sure their kids got in school. There is no reason to give them the benefit of the doubt. It has not been remotely equal. And what they did at Mar-a-Lago that day runs just square against the central thesis, which is about transparent, equal application of the law in the United States, especially when you do it against someone who was your former and could potentially be soon, could be again, your political opponent. We don't see this in America. This is not something that should go lightly, and it is bigger than what just happened in Florida last week.
I mean, Mr. Secretary, we had Hillary Clinton's people destroying thousands and thousands of emails. This is when donors to the Clinton Foundation were trying to get in to talk to Mrs. Clinton. You know, you were Secretary of State. Imagine if you had done anything approaching what was going on when she was Secretary of State. I wouldn't even be talking to you right now. They'd probably put you in Rikers Island. I mean, it's just crazy. So that's why there's a double standard here. That, you know, National Archive didn't have any problem with that, apparently.
Oh, goodness. Laura, you know, you don't forget, I was in the middle of that. I was on the Benghazi committee with Trey Gowdy and Jim Jordan. We were working to try and get access to her emails and her server, which everyone admits has high-level classified information. We didn't raid her home. We didn't send the Justice Department. We tried to work through the problem set in the tradition of America. They have violated these most basic understandings. And your point's well taken. Had my wife given speeches for $500,000 to throw all across the world to foreign governments while I was serving as Secretary of State, I'd have an orange jumpsuit and a prisoner number. And
you know, looking at you and your colors tonight, orange is not your color, Mike. It's not. That's definitely you're more of a darker hued person. All right, I know you were interviewed by the January 6th Commission. What can you share about your lovely time with them?
You know, they were chasing witches, right? This was a far field, wandering interview. I spoke the truth to them. I can't tell you the details, Laura. They were looking for discussions about the 25th Amendment, discussions that I never seriously undertook with any of my counterparts. They were looking to build a storyline, the conclusion of which was already written.
Your reaction to what Mike Pence said up in New Hampshire about how people, you know, shouldn't be careful about criticizing the FBI because that's criticizing the rank and file. You know, I like Mike Pence very much. He's an old friend going back 20 plus years. But I was a little surprised by that, your reaction to what he said.
We all have friends. I've got two folks who used to work on my congressional staff who are now young, kick-butt FBI agents all across America. Good people, hardworking folks that care about America. But when you have a politicized leadership, when you have McCabe lying, losing his job, and then now being the spokesperson on CNN, when you see the FBI engaged in this kind of activity, it's so deeply troubling. One can easily take on the FBI leadership without maligning in any way. Those folks are out there trying to keep our streets safe and keep us safe from crime all across the country.
What were you doing the night that Liz Cheney lost the race in Wyoming? Now, are you surprised by that in any way, shape, or form? I mean, obviously, you were friendly with the Cheneys, as many of us were, but that is the end of that era, is it not?
Yeah, I think it is. It's from a time gone by in the sense of she spent her entire time representing the people of Wyoming, going after a single individual instead of representing the people of Wyoming, and they responded. They responded pretty clearly and pretty sharply and pretty dramatically.
Mr. Secretary, it's great to see you tonight. Thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.